Good morning, friends. I'm Gracie from the Maryland Campaign for Environmental Human Rights. That's goal is to pass an amendment for environmental human rights in the Maryland State Constitution. Today is our first interview in which we interview people who are doing good work to make Maryland a more healthy and just state to live in. I am pleased to welcome Dr. Tracy Garrett and Celestine Brown of Anne Arundel County. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having us, Gracie.
Yes, thanks.
So I'll just jump right into it. In the Capital Gazette piece, Anne Arundel finds speeding problem on Lothian Road. Community asks for study on health effects of truck traffic. You, Celestine Brown, and Dr. Tracy Garrett called attention to the traffic that has been getting more intense along Sands Road since 2015. In your own words, why is this happening?
But we've been dealing with this truck stuff since the 80s.
Exactly.
But it was around I would say between 2010 and 2012 that we noticed an increase because we got this reclamation site called Westport. And then shortly after that, when I say shortly, it could have been a matter of months or a couple of years, we got another reclamation site called Sandy Fill. So you have two reclamation sites and you have the Riddle Mines, which is owned by Chaney. So you got three big industrial facilities on this one road that's about 5 miles. So the county is allowing a compost to come to Sands Road Park.
Mhm.
And so that's going to be more trucks. They claim that it's, just a few vans and this and that and the other thing, but no, it's going to increase the truck traffic. Not saying, by a tremendous amount, because it's already a lot of truck traffic, but we don't need one or two more big trucks, and that's what we'll get, at least that, maybe more. And then we have the marijuana farm
Mhm.
on Sands Road. So there's a
And
lot of industrial facilities.
plus with the composting site, we have no idea exactly what's going in there. A lot of animal waste, with methane gases, and it's just not good for the environment. And we have to breathe that in, especially the people that are right next to that area. It's very bad, very bad. And also for this area, a lot of people have gotten cancer because of all the dumping and everything that they've done. It's just awful.
Right, but you can't, you kind of know anecdotally that there's some relationship, but unless we get, real health studies done, there's no way to relate that back to what's happening in the environment. Common sense will tell you something's not right if you have all of this happening in this very condensed area. We're talking 5 miles here.
Right.
But I named 3
Mhm.
industrial facilities. We also have trailer parks, which need wastewater plants.
Mhm.
So that's all going on here. And Celestine and I have invited everybody.
Mhm.
If we could get the President of the United States to come here and see it, we would. But we've invited everybody we could that we
Mhm.
thought might have some impact to come and see this. Just how much we have to endure in this really condensed small area called Sands Road, Lothian / Harwood. It's just unbelievable, really unbelievable.
Mhm.
So have you been able to speak at the Citizens Environmental Commission yet?
Is this part of the Pittman
I
administration?
think it's Pittman.
Because if it is, we've met with them.
Many times.
Right, we've met up with a lot of commissions. I just did a testimony for the Maryland State Commission on the for the environment and climate justice, that commission. So we've met with just about everybody. People have asked us, did you meet with this person? Yes.
Mhm.
Did you meet with that person? Yes. So we're meeting to meet.
And nothing's really be getting done. And then also the Bay Journal, they came out and did an interview. You would think we would get something from that, and we haven't. I would like to see a moratorium date on all of these facilities. I'd like to see that. the policy where you have a date that this is going to end. And also, I'd like to see a policy where if something is agreed upon, I mean, we can't stop everything, but if something's agreed upon with trucks or what have you, then there should only be one exemption. One exemption be allowed because they're just coming in over and over and over again and they're getting approved. It needs to be changed.
That's the special exceptions. So what we're saying is a special exception should not be forever.
Right.
We know that Westport got a special exception in 1968, and this is soon to be 2022. Now, how absurd is that? Now, we can tell you this stuff, unless you come and actually see it with your own two eyes, you really can't understand it. But this is a facility that has had a special exception since like 1967.
Right.
So much has changed since then. And they're one of the reclamation sites. It needs to stop. It needs to be shut down. The community is not the same. Laws in terms of the environment are not the same. I was 7 years old then. I don't think there was anybody that looked like me at that table saying, the hearing officer didn't look like me. Probably didn't even come down here and examine what they were doing. But again, that was in 1967. Since then we have all these trailer parks and, supposed park that's gonna have composting in it too. These things cannot coexist, but they are. And then we have watersheds here too. There's at least 3 watershed projects along this road. So that's what we're trying to, dismantle. We should have rights also, right? Is this about environmental rights that we're all supposed to have according to the federal government? I think that trickles down to the state government too. There are some laws that were passed that said this kind of thing should not be happening in neighborhoods at the federal level.
Right.
So.
Well, Ms. Chaney, can I ask you a question? Now, why are you concerned? Why are you getting into this? Why do you want to ask us questions? What's behind what you're trying to do?
So the Maryland Campaign for Environmental Human Rights, what we're trying to do is put an amendment in Maryland state constitution, basically to prevent businesses and individuals from polluting specific areas and make it so that individuals have standing to go into court and say, like, this has to be stopped, put an injunction on this. So it's basically to put like power in people's hands.
Right. So we're trying that. However, what happens is they say, okay, you don't live close enough. You have to live within so many feet for them to think it's having impact on you. These air pollutants impact us because of the cumulative impact effects, but also because they're air pollutants. They're getting in the air,
It's like COVID. It's like COVID.
They travel. Right, they travel. So it shouldn't be that I need to live within so many feet.
Exactly.
But that's what happens. So it's like you don't have the right. There are no rights, except for we're supposed to have environmental rights.
Yeah, it seems like the county has not been taking your situation seriously, but is there a group of people who are willing to put in like the time and effort to fighting this?
Been working with the Chesapeake Legal Alliance, the MDEHR, Patuxent Riverkeeper. So yeah, we're called the Lothian Coalition. But, it's interesting that people are like, well, is there a group? Is there a group? Folks don't have the bandwidth. So, if you really want to, have this impact, you have to come to the community and help people to understand how these things are really affecting them. Let's do some surveys. How many folks have children with asthma or other respiratory conditions? I know that when, my great nieces were born, they were born with these respiratory problems. Well, how does that happen?
Mhm.
And that's many people in our community. There's research on that for this part of the community. Look us up on the EPA, put our zip code in. Mine is 20711. Even though Celestine lives in Harwood, it all used to be Lothian.
Mhm.
So it's not like, they're breathing different air,
Mhm.
because they're not. But if you look up the zip code, you can do that and check out what the EPA has said about this zip code in Lothian.
Plus, also, I think that we've been working with the county, but I don't think anybody has elevated it up far enough to the state level where Hogan hears what's going on down here, where these senators are hear anything about what we're trying to fight. I don't think it's gotten that far. The only thing we get is that Mr. Pittman will say, "Oh, well, the operation has to continue because the state wants it to continue it." Now, there's got to be something that can be done. It's almost like they make the rules, but they can't enforce them themselves. That's kind of crazy to me. How can you make a rule that you can't even enforce yourself? I, I'm just tired of it. Tired of it.
So it's the chicken and the egg problem. It's the running around problem, and I go to meetings with the county, and they really think, they really think they've done a lot. They've done some things, really, you know. I will give credit where credit is due. I appreciate the efforts that have been done, but this is a huge problem. It's huge.
It's at the state level, needs to be at the state level, not just at the county level. And even beyond that, or else we're going to have a Flint, Michigan. That's what we're going to have. We're there now, practically.
People don't understand it. We have some very smart people involved in this Lothian Coalition, especially when it comes to this composting.
Mhm.
Scientists, environmentalists saying, stop, stop.
Mhm.
Now the county is saying, oh, the Maryland Department of the Environment is saying it's okay. So that's who we're going to get to monitor it, even though the land belongs to the county.
Mm.
And if you had to do a scorecard on the Maryland Department of the Environment, I don't know that they would get an A. What recourse do we have? But unless you all are getting down here and you can start relating and engaging with people and actually laying eyes on things that are happening, you have no idea. You just won't have any idea. Talking to me and Celestine is not going to be enough. And that's what's missing for me. It's like the engagement. And then, because it's really, to me, it's going to be up to people like yourself, Gracie, who care
Mhm.
and can kind of save our environment, that are
Right.
really going to have to put boots on the ground. This sounds like a grassroots kind of effort. Grassroots efforts can work. They do work. They have worked. But, I think we're working too much in isolation, because this is a countrywide problem. It's just
It
not a
is.
Sands Road,
Right.
Lothian / Harwood problem. This is going on
Exactly.
in all communities that look like ours.
Hmm.
In Baltimore, it's the incinerator. For the love of God, what? You're putting an incinerator in a neighbor, like a neighborhood,
Hmm.
somewhere else. Eastern Shore is the chicken stuff, the fumes from the, chickens.
And with this compost, we don't know what's going to be coming
Yeah.
in here.
Mhm.
Animal waste.
We don't know.
No, I
So
don't.
Lothian has a Facebook page, so you can join Lothian's Facebook page. Like I said, we're working with Namadi, we're working with the Riverkeeper. That's what we have, and we have these resources in the Chesapeake Legal Alliance, the Riverkeeper, Tucson Riverkeeper and Namati. They're an international, national, international. And their goal is to help communities like ours become empowered, to advocate for themselves, which Celestine and I don't have a problem with.
No,
advocating
not at all.
for ourselves. We've been at this for a long time, but actions speak louder than words, and we're wanting some action.
So I have some questions about your work with Dr. Garrett with NAACP.
Well, I mean, I'm a life member of the NAACP, and for Anne Arundel County, I'm the chairperson for the Environment and Climate Justice Committee. So I'm active in terms of, like I said, meetings and finding out information and just trying to figure out what we need to take action on. And one of the things that I'm going to work with our chairperson for our political committee, getting a letter written about the compost that's coming. Well, that's here at Sands Road Park, because, the Patuxent Riverkeeper and various environmentalists and scientists have said this is not good. It needs to stop. But the county is relying on the Maryland Department of the Environment to make sure things are legitimate and okay when you got all these people saying, no, this is not good. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for the 185 different species of birds that people come to see internationally, nationally. People from all over come to see this. It's not good for the milkweed, the monarch butterflies. I mean, it's a beautiful place. When you come, you can see it. And it's like a compost doesn't fit there. And they wanted to put playground equipment there, which would be 300 feet away from the compost.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so ridiculous. It's hard to even fathom all of this stuff. It's just like, what? Why would anybody think that's okay? First of all, we're in a diesel death zone. I mean, all these trucks and fumes, and one site can have over 300 truck runs a day. That's one site. We're getting more than that. And they run off of diesel fuel. We're smelling fumes all the time. Because a lot of these trucks are old. They're very old. So, yeah, it's really something. It's beyond something, really. But yeah, my work there is, to, like I said, it's not only about Sands Road, Lothian / Harwood, but that's the reason why I became the chairperson, quite frankly, because I live in a hot spot and trying to get some action.
So do you know the committee's priorities for this year?
I would say areas around these effects of these cumulative effects of the pollution that has really interfered with the quality of life of BIPOC people for years. Just getting some justice around that, environmental justice.
Are there any priorities for the MLA session?
Legislation where there would be criteria that people would have to meet in order to be able to come into an area such as ours. So it's like, how much more can one road take? I described to you that we have 2 reclamation sites, a mining site, wastewater plants, trailer parks, and watersheds. We have what's called Wooten's Landing. It's more than 100 acres of land. There's a wastewater plant entrance, and then there's the entrance to Wooten's Landing.
Mhm.
So it's like right there on the Patuxent River.
How can our listeners get involved in the work of NAACP in Maryland?
Join us. Become a member. That's how you get involved. Become a member of the NAACP. It's for everybody. The NAACP is for everyone,
Mhm.
and everyone is welcome. So get involved.
Mhm.
Become a member. You know, come to some of our events, helping us to get out the vote. Because that's what changes things is voting. People
Mhm.
have to vote. But some of this stuff, you know, it shouldn't be based on who's in office, because it's just not right, period.
Mhm.
So, you know, we've got to undo a lot of the stuff that has been done,
For decades.
yeah, for decades.
Mhm.
It's always, you know, profit over people.
Mhm. Yep.
To all of our listeners, thank you for spending time with the Maryland Campaign for Environmental Human Rights. We hope to see you again soon.